All right, we got news stories that have legal issues, and thankfully we have legal experts to help them sort it out. It is Chuck and Dan from Del Rio and Caraway this morning helping us sort all this stuff. I want to talk about the first thing, which is this lawsuit over the Depo-Provera vaccines, I guess. And I don't know if you could call it a class action suit, but there has been a decision on where this is all going to be heard. And explain why that's important to the possible outcome of the case.
Yeah, so this is a mass tort, which is similar to a class action, but not quite the same. You take a bunch of individual lawsuits that could be all over the country, and you essentially file them together under one judge centrally. Mm-hmm. And so the reason it's important is where this is held affects the law that is being used. So all of the lawsuits now for this across the country will now fall under the jurisdiction of this one judge in Florida. Mm-hmm. Originally, the plaintiffs had wanted this to happen either in California or Massachusetts because we have a very unique law that allows generic drugs to still be the liability of the innovator of the drug. Oh. So where Pfizer created Depo-Provera, let's say theoretically Pfizer did have a mistake in the formula or did create, a risky drug that caused this problem. If a generic drug manufacturer then took that, does no R&D, doesn't do their own thing, they just get the licensing to go make their own cheaper version, normally you would have to go ahead, sue the generic, and you would not be able to sue the company who came up with it originally because that's not who made your drug. Under what we call innovator theory, Massachusetts and California allow you to say, no, you only have this generic formula because the original innovator came up with it, so you get to sue up the ladder and include them in the lawsuit also for creating the bad formula.
Interesting.
So that's what the plaintiffs were looking to have it either in California or Massachusetts because of that. Pfizer wanted to have it in its home state of New York. They thought that would be most favorable. So whether this is a political move or to show unbiased or a resource management issue, it got sent to the judge in Florida, who's actually the same judge on the mass tort for the 3M defective earplugs.
Oh,
so she's managing that class or that multi-district litigation right now, which has about 400,000 claims. She's now been given this one. So we're hoping look, this is a senior judge who knows what she's doing, knows how to manage these. So we're going to give her another, one of these.
That feels like a lot on her. But we should mention that the plaintiffs in this case are claiming that it's linked to brain tumors.
Absolutely, yeah.
Another big issue we've seen is with the fires down in Los Angeles. Property insurance rates. State Farm has asked for basically an emergency rate increase, which I can't imagine homeowners are happy about and could lead to legal situations.
Yeah, this is interesting because this is going to have its own politics and a lot of viewpoints on. To say the least, insurance companies have never been known to not make a good profit.
Yeah.
The claim is by State Farm that over the last 9 years, if you look at it collectively, they've lost $2.8 billion because of all the extra claims from the wildfires. As of, I believe it was May 2023, they made the decision they would no longer write new policies for business or personal for any sort of homeowners, renters, tenant insurance in California, citing that they just were losing too much, the laws are bad here, all the kind of stuff. Then as of last year, March, they went ahead and said, even of the policies they are continuing to renew, they're going to axe 72,000 of those policies for renewal. So they were kind of approaching this idea that we're pulling out of California in terms of homeowners and stuff and renters. Now this comes up, they say, look, we're honoring our ones through the fire. We've already paid out over $1 billion. We're losing massively. In order to keep offering anything to California in this realm, we need you to agree to a rate hike. Well, they've asked for multiple rate hikes over time. Last January of 23, they had a 6.9% rate hike. Last year, in the spring, they asked for another 20% rate hike. They got both of those. In the summer, then in June, they asked for another multi-stage rate hike, which was something like 30% on homeowners, higher on renters, and middle ground on the tenants. That did not get approved. That was still pending. So now they're coming up to the table again saying, look, with all these extra losses. We need another rate hike, which is 22% on homeowners, which is the one everybody hears about, but then it's like 30 or 40% on rental buildings, and then another like 15% on tenants. So there's the massive rate hikes all across the board. The problem is, look, it's playing with numbers, right? They're saying they have major losses and they can't afford to do this. Consumer watchdog group out of LA says they made over $1 billion the last 3 years.
Yeah.
And that's just the local property division, as opposed to the parent company that claims to have over $100 billion in its bank account. So there's a little question as to the veracity of this. The nice thing is in California, I think it was Prop 108, the insurance commissioner gets the ability to go ahead and audit all rate hikes and accept or reject them.
Yeah.
So he has the ability now to really dig into this and to say, look, no, put a hold on this. You're not getting this right now. We're not sure that it's justified. And hopefully, that based on what he did last June, where he has not approved the last one, hopefully that's, what we're going to see.
Okay, Chuck, we're running short of time, but Chuck, I want to get to this. We got some new driving laws that go into effect in California this year that folks may not be aware of.
I'll make them quick. There's going to be 33 speed cameras in or about the Bay Area, San Francisco specifically. I think they start giving tickets out at 11 miles per hour over the speed limit. They're approximately going to be $50.
Okay.
If you steal parts off of a car, that's now going to be part of the auto theft laws. Do not modify your license plate, spraying on an enamel or putting over the covering over it so that it can't be seen on electronic cameras. And then also there's some laws going into place with autonomous driven vehicles because they're having issues with those. Specifically, if they get in the way of Code 3 respondents, police, fire, things like that, they can now ticket the manufacturer for getting in the way.
Oh, that is interesting. Gentlemen, thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Pleasure.